Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena. Right now I'm taking a hands-on look at the LG G3. It was just announced here at LG's press conference on the New York presentation, so I'm just going to do a quick hands-on look at this device. It is truly a next-generation smartphone down to the specs, and it made some considerable improvements over the LG G2, which I'll talk about real quick here. So first and foremost, let's talk about the design of the G3. Now G3 kind of follows, a little bit informed to the G2 previously, but the thing I like about this model is that they've kind of given it a slight premium finish thanks to the various metallic finishes that we have with the rear casing. Now they say it has a metallic finish available in different colors, but there's this matte plastic overlay on top of it. So the look of it has a metallic finish, but the feel still comes off a little bit on the plastic side. But the nice thing about that is the phone itself is pretty lightweight, and for the most part, very streamlined, super skinny, and I hardly feel it, as I'm holding the hand. A slight contour, you can see the arc, so it kind of contours nicely when you're holding the hand, so it's pretty comfortable for the most part. The construction seems okay for a plastic device. I would say it's just a little bit a step up above the S5, but of course, in terms of some of the premium smartphones like the M8, HTC One M8, or the Xperia Z2, it's not quite on the same level in that area. Another key thing to point out with the LG G3 is just the amount of bezel they have on the sides of the phone. It's just ridiculously skinny, almost non-existent. It's not truly bezel-less, but you have just a little bit more space. So in terms of the width of the smartphone, it is very manageable to hold in one hand, especially for a handset bearing a 5.5-inch display. It feels pretty good, and you could tell right here the screen itself dominates a lot of the area of the front portion of the handset, and it is, one of the highest screen ratios right now out in the industry. They maintain a pretty clean finish with the phone. If you look around the sides, there are barely any buttons, so the left side is pretty clean. You have this silver trim outlining the handset, decent contrast, nothing too stellar. The bottom, you have the 3.5mm headset jack. You have your microphone, the micro USB port for charging data connectivity. I also believe video out functionality. On the right side, it is also pretty clean. There's a small notch here, so you can remove the back cover, so you still have access to the battery, which is wonderful. At the same time, there's also a micro SD card slot. I'll show you that here in a moment. Top edge, it looks like you have your IR blaster, your noise cancellation microphone, and this handset, being that it's going to be sold in the Korean market, it has an antenna, of course, for their TV service, but in the US, you're not going to find that. So let me show you real quick the rear cover. You can take it off like so, and you gain access to that battery, and you have the micro SD card slot to help supplement it, and it's also noteworthy that it also has wireless charging. In the rear, you have the same button configuration that we first saw introduced with the LG G2. So the power button's in the middle right here, and you have the volume up, volume down. Of course, you could have different functionality, do long presses when the screen is locked. Power button, it's a little bit raised. Of course, the silver finish goes nicely with the overall color scheme. There's a textured feel with the volume controls, but if you're holding it, it's still a little bit tough kind of feeling it out. It's not as raised as we'd like. Probably would have been nice to see the button just jutting out a little bit more. As far as the camera is concerned, they really didn't increase the megapixel count. You'd think they'd probably go up even higher, but in fact, a 13 megapixel autofocus camera. It has a backside illuminated sensor, optical image stabilization, and it has a laser autofocus, something they use also with like a car, the police car radars that they have. So you're gonna get really quick focus on the fly, so if something's going in and out of the shot, it's going to be able to track it and adjust for that. You have also a dual LED flash right there, so you get even tone when you're using it. And finally, in the bottom side here, kind of tough to make it out right there, but you have just the internal speaker. What's really astounding about the LG G3 here is the display. It's arguably the most innovative feature and quality about the phone. So what we have here is a 5.5-inch Quad HD display, so the resolution basically comes out to 1440 by 2560, which produces an incredible pixel pixel density count of 538 pixels per inch. So that crunches a whole lot of pixels into just a small tight space. So what happens here is that you're going to get some really crisp looking text, a lot of fine detail, and honestly, you could see it, but when you're looking far away, when you compare it to some other displays out there with 1080p, I gotta say, it's really tough to distinguish the difference. Only when you look at it very close, you could kind of make it out a little bit, but I wouldn't say it is dramatic to the point that you know, it's a step above anything else out there. But overall, the panel's nice, good viewing angles. Just turn this on here. Good viewing angles from what I'm seeing here. A pretty even color tone, doesn't seem too saturated. It's an IPS LCD panel, so you kind of get the feeling that it's going to work pretty well in outdoor conditions. And when I have it set, its brightness setting, here I'm checking it out, it's pretty visible, so no problems whatsoever with it. In terms of processing power, the LG G3 is packing along a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor, clocked in at 2.5 gigahertz with the Adreno 330 GPU and 2 gigabytes of RAM. Nothing really astounding. It's pretty much the norm that we see with today's crop of smartphones, but as expected, it just flies. A good amount of snappiness, despite the fact that you have such a high resolution screen. You'd think that it would kind of hinder the performance a little bit, but not at all. It is tight, snappy, instantaneous, so it's nice with that. So the cool thing too, I think, aside from the display, the other big thing that they've kind of improved upon, which I really appreciate, is the new LG UI here that's running on the device. They've gone for more flatter, more simplistic. Gone is that cartoony look that we've seen with the LG G2 and even the previous devices. And now it just has a very modern, clean-looking interface. Kind of the same premise that we saw with the Sense, where if you go to specific applications, for example, if you go to phone dialer, you have this color theme going on. Depending what you do, you're going to see that consistently in other aspects, like the messaging here, you're going to have an orange theme to it. And if you go to some of the other organizer applications, so for example, let's go to something like, I can find a calculator here. Go calculator. Or for clock, for example, you're going to see a gray colored theme to it. So it's small touches like that that really helps. And there's still a fine level of personalization. They've updated the text, they updated the widgets, so everything just has a crisp, cleaner look, and it really comes off well. Good balance to it. And at the same time, they've gone back, they toned down the feature set with this handset. They talk all about simplicity. And you kind of get a sense with that. They focus on just the stuff that matters most, surfing the web, personalization, taking photos. So it's pretty cool that they've kind of worked with the UI. So there's a lot going on with the LG G3. It truly is a next generation smartphone. The display itself, how they minimize the bezel around the display, the new autofocus system that they have in place, and of course the updated UI. It comes off really astounding. They've kind of improved upon the LG G2 in many aspects, and it's, you know, lays claim to having the highest resolution screen on the smartphone. So it's pretty nice. No word yet on when exact dates of its availability, but in the US, you're going to see all the major carriers getting this handset. They didn't talk about pricing, but you know, as with anything high-end, we're kind of expecting to see it around the $200 mark. Would be perfect against some of the other flagships out there. And for the first half of the year, this is a pretty good way of ending it. There's just a complete package with the handset, beautiful display, nice cleaner design, improvements to the UI, and you know, a new autofocus system. So it's going to be pretty interesting how it comes off. The other thing is just worth noting that the phone doesn't have a waterproof aspect or water resistant element to it. So that's something that, you know, that has become pretty big with some of today's flagship devices. But if that's not a problem for you, you're going to be pretty pleased by the LG G3. So if you guys want to learn more about this handset, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching, guys.